Hey, it's no one heard. I'm just going to look at my random generator A-frame repo again. It's a library for generating random primitives using A-frame. Component library. Wow, component. Let's just close that. Okay. Okay, cool. Alright, yes, that's the readme. So, if you've not seen the videos before, basically this, this, just apologise to my computer for some reason, just beeped. This random A-frame entity generator component basically generates random primitives. Let me show you. There we go. So this is what it does basically in a nutshell. I've already explained this loads of times though, but may as well just do an intro for this video, saying it again. This is with custom textures. Completely random positioning, images, texture application. So basically just going over what I went over before, but I'm going to try and do some live coding or hacking on this thing, see what I can do a bit more of it. It'd be cool for more people to use it actually. It's quite applicable to many different scenarios in fact. I keep on thinking I should apply it to something. I mean, I sort of am doing the generative space sort of, I guess it's going to be like a framework basically. Yeah. Anyway, where was I? These are the demo pages here, so buildings, multiple, single GLB, That's just the stuff for the HTML page. That's just that. That's the component in action with whatever settings you want to give it. You can customize it in a lot of good ways actually, which is good. So this is how you use it basically. So as long as you've got A-frame in there, like there you go, A-frame, whatever release. I've not tested it with all the releases of A-frame obviously, but it worked with this one, 1.2.0. I'm not sure if that's the latest release, but fairly up to date. Obviously A-frame extras is used. That's used for anything. There are many different libraries you can use there which are very useful. GLTF exporter minified. That's a plugin basically for you exporting as GLB, so you can have these random scenes that generate, you can export a GLB. This is all stuff we've gone over before. What do I need to do? I'm just going to look at the source code. I need to refresh my memory as well. So this is the entire source code. Random A-frame entity generator component version 1.1.0. So how many lines is it? It's 200 lines. It's functional programming. So let me go over the schema of the component. Minimum shapes, fairly obvious what that is. That's the minimum amount of shapes you want to be randomly generated. So it needs a bottom value, and that's that. Max shapes, opposite of course. So And you can change all this set. You can override these defaults too. So yes, there the minimum shapes default's 10, but so if you use the component with no other given setting parameter for that, it would just default to 10. Custom GLB is a boolean. It's just is it going to be are you going to be using custom models? Basically, that's what that means. Custom GLB flag, which you can pass in true or false. Export to GLB. Are you going to be allow the player to export the generated scene as a GLB file, which so that can be then re-imported into other 3D content web apps like that, with textures. You basically just put it true if you want to have a player in custom textures, light, and there's lights. Are you going to have lighting? Random color. Are you going to have random colors assigned? Make flat. What was that again? I can't remember what the one is. Random seeds. So seed values determine just values of basically the seed value is a random number that sort of the spread of the randomness, if that makes sense. So that's you can give that any value. It's 8 there, so you can give it any value, but you get unpredictable results. Seeds for the scale, I think. Custom texture IDs is see, that's where you can pass in the custom textures, which you do. I'll show actually, because that's probably a bit confusing if no one's used it before. Custom model. I think I'll just do this as a straight up just code overview of random generative-aframe component, because I think it basically does everything it needs to do. To be honest, so I'm just a bit dehydrated there. So, what are you looking at now? So there's a few functions here for generating sculptures, generating artwork. I think I need to actually rename some of these. It's not that obvious from the function names. Randomized piece makes sense enough. I've done a higher level overview of all these functions anyway. The naming convention actually could do with changing, but I'll. You've got these functions that we used a lot as well, such as. Wow, this is using the GLTF. Actually, yeah, this is using the plugin I mentioned earlier, the GLTF exporter. You'll never have to mess with that ever. That's just there so that the GLTF exporter always, as long as that is there, that will work for the GLB exporting functionality I mentioned earlier on. Okay, so for example of assigning random textures, let's look at a single primitive. There you go. So we've got film 1, film 2, blah blah blah. So when you in A-frame, you'd export them in as assets like that in the directory they're in. So film in this example, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Then you'd feed the custom texture ID, give them each an ID. So we've got film 6 there, for example, and then we film 1, 2, 3, 2, and then they'll assign random textures to each object or primitive, in this case, that you generate. So this, like I was saying before, settings you can set to whatever, 120, 400. This one's not got custom GLBs because it's just generating primitives, so it's generated randomly. This one you can export it. It's just set true on all the demos. Lights are on, and yada yada. But that shows how you do custom textures. What else? Oh yeah, obviously you need to add this GLTF exporter to the actual entity itself. That's important to mention. So if you want the GLB exporting functionality, then yeah, you'll need to include that in the entity attribute, as an attribute in the entity, a entity. What else? Also, you can do the positioning however you want. That's just HTML basically at the end of the day, with a mix of JS really. Boom. So I guess there's probably enough for a basis. I guess I'll show the examples of the basic scenes, which are included in the demo, and talk about a few of the use cases there, and then I'll just finish this video in about 5 minutes then. So buildings. This is an example of the buildings. Let me just quickly show it. So if we go back, this can be very interesting as well. So, and like I know I've already gone over this sort of, but so yeah. So yeah, this is a mixture of with buildings, and so these are obviously the buildings are custom GLBs. I've sort of already covered this in a previous video, but just to show you what it is. So this is basically, so we've got it there twice. Just change the ID, if that makes sense. So you can add in multiples of the randgen component. You can add it as many times as you want, but just make sure the IDs are obviously separate. So on this entity here, we're generating the random primitives. No, sorry. Yeah, I think it's that one. Well, anyway, there's maybe it's this. Yeah, it might be this demo actually. Yeah, so that's why it was this multiple HTML file. But yeah, anyway, what was I? So yeah, you see got the textual IDs there, and yeah, you can have two separate entities within the same scene, as many as you want. Just make sure that you give them all each a unique ID, basically. Yeah. That's that one. That's all I really need to know there. Note there that's different. For the single the GLB demo is a bit different. This probably is this might need some work still. This is still a bit underdeveloped. Everything else is sort of done, but this is a bit single component generating custom models. So we'll see eventually. This is much slower though, and a bit more janky at the minute still even. There we go, so you got some fish up here. What if the actual generation loading process is a bit lacking at the minute? So I had to execute a lot of JavaScript there for that to work. So this is still an undeveloped one. I can't even see where the fish are. It's basically a school of fish. Just refresh this again. But right, yeah, fishies. I don't know. Anyway, that's not the best demo of it, but so custom GLB, that flag's added to true. Like I said, this is very, and then custom models, you have to add a reference to custom models. So I've only got one. Oh, I had a few in there actually. Yeah, so yeah, because I used them for the hotel before. If I was adding a custom GLB, just go custom GLB true, custom models, and then yeah, fish, which is also declared in the assets here. AS item reference to the fish in this case, or the model, the fish model. ID fish, whatever, and then yeah, you need to obviously have that same ID. And then don't know what else to say really. I mean, this is like do that. There you go. Put your custom models there if you're going to use any. You can obviously build on this quite a lot. Like it is meant as a framework really for anyone to do anything with. You could build. So I'll get final part of this. I'll just finish this video now. Some cool ideas for projects. Generating an arcade game with generated shapes or custom GLB models. This could actually become, if someone wanted to develop it further, it could become a little bit of a game engine, I suppose, driven by A-frame and JavaScript and HTML basically. It's got the this is all just garbage HTML I wrote for the demo page basically. Yeah, these are the actual demo pages. But yeah, I don't know. I'll leave it at that. That's the sort of quick overview on how to use the randgen-aframe component library for A-frame. Let me just show you where, if you're viewing this, where the GitHub is. The repo is for it, sorry, and it should be publicly accessible still. Where's it? Oh yeah, random-gen-aframe. So we're going to have a closer look at this. It's .NOR random-gen-aframe. It's also available. Also available as an npm package. Just check this. I thought it was that. That's the one. Random-gen-aframe or /aframe or whatever. That one. So you can download it as an npm package as well. I've already tested out much of that, but it should work, I think. So yeah, it's an npm package too. Let's see how well they're doing. Weekly downloads too, so not that bad. Like we had 58 at first, then it went down and down and up. Sort of remained steadily low usage. But yeah, if you want to check it out, if you think it has any application, feel free to use it. Like it's basically designed for the MIT sharing basically. There's no point, won't really be any way to monetize it really. But yeah, just show, I think it is MIT. Oh, I can't remember, but anyway. Yeah, MIT. So basically that means yeah, you can distribute modifications. Yeah, you can distribute under different terms without source code, basically. So you can use it for put in permission for commercial use, modification, distribution, private use. Anyway, I'll end this video here. I'm like no nerd. I really just started doing a few videos again. I thought I was going to be, I thought I was going to quit programming, but now I find myself being fascinated by it again, which is a bit. Well, that's what it is. Guess I'm a programmer. In a bit. Anyway, I'll just leave this here now.